This Week in Hollywoke, but sometimes we call it Ziowood. I think we're going to call it Ziowood today, but it's all the same, guys. It's the capture of narrative. Everybody in Hollywood is in line, and we talk about this on the show a lot, and I think, Jay, you mentioned it earlier. There's our co-host, Jay Scott, helping me out today with This Week in Hollywoke. You mentioned that Hollywood actors are the best at what they do. It's the acting. They're great for Hollywood. They're great for Washington. They're interchangeable that way. We know that the CIA works with Hollywood, gets fine-tunes particular films, gets them out to people. That's not even just about greenlighting the film. It's pushing their actual propaganda through the film. So it's not even about, oh, do you have to go through a CIA council and get approval? No, they literally use the tool of Hollywood, the actors, which are so good at performing. DC takes lessons from them all the time. In fact, some of the technology and the storylines that are created by a lot of these storytellers here are borrowed, they're used, and they're reciprocated back and forth from the CIA. So you guys know all that. So yeah, go ahead, Jay.
Really quick on that point, I actually want to give a small shout out to John Cena because I saw a movie with him the other day that actually portrayed the CIA in a negative light. And that's the first time I've ever seen like a mainstream movie, portray our intelligence agencies as the bad guy. Usually we're the good guys fighting the Russians. But yeah, I forget what it's called. Did you see that movie with John Cena?
I have not seen it. I will check it out. I don't want to assume before seeing it, but I will tell you this, Jay, and those watching, be skeptical of any self-critique in agencies, whether it's police or government agencies or our own government in Hollywood films. Sometimes it's designed to fool you the way we're fooled with Trump and Newsom. We talk about Trump and Newsom. They make you think, and Netanyahu, by the way, Netanyahu as well. They make you think that the individual is the problem. We got to get rid of them. They corrupted destroyed our system from within. Get the evil bad apple out, and things go back to normal. Haven't seen the John Cena film yet, but I tell you, there's a list a mile long of ones that make you feel like we're doing self-critique, but really the main character is trying to figure out who the hell is screwing him. Where's the corruption coming from? Oh no, it's coming from inside. And then they find out that there was a uniquely bad person doing it, and you get rid of them, and things go back to normal. So yeah. I hope this one breaks that rule, but I'm just saying
it did. It's called Freelance. Really? Yeah, it's called Freelance. Check it out. And it essentially implies that we've been destabilizing a lot of the countries that we demonize nowadays by calling them, dictatorships or communists and all that. So it was a pretty good movie, actually. I saw it on a plane, funnily enough.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. But again, I agree 1,000% with your overarching point, because this is the exception to the rule. Every other movie you've ever seen about war, the Russians are the bad guys, they're our ultimate enemies, or Iran is the bad guys, they're our ultimate enemies. Like the movie, what's his name? The one he did about Iran. You know who I'm talking about, man.
Ben Affleck did. Ben Affleck directed. He won.
How come? How come there was no mention of Operation Ajax?
It's not going to be in there. And this is the movie's telling you. By the way, if you guys go see it, it's called Argo, and it won Best Picture in 2013. Ben Affleck was nominated for director, one of the few times the director did not win, but his picture did. So that was interesting. He also stars in the film. He was nominated for Best Actor, and that particular film, add that to a list of CIA movies that will come out and tell you the quiet part out loud and tell you that the CIA works with Hollywood. That's what they're telling you. They're saying we're going to go in to Hollywood. We're going to look at what's got. There's other movies like that. There's like Wag the Dog. There's ones where like, hey, we got to get the right tools. Help us, Hollywood. We need to figure out how to do the thing. Can you help us put a mission together? Because you guys know best of all of how to tell a story, right?
And now let me be honest, man. Just to add to that, I love old school mafia movies. So this is not by any means me critiquing the fact that these movies exist. However, if you look at a lot of the gang culture that exists, in the world today, they do look up to the mafia. Like even if you look at, say, the Bloods and the Crips, like they look up to the mafia. Like that's what they want to be. So, when you have people who are poor and economically depressed, they're more, it's easier to influence these people sometimes. And yeah, like Hollywood has a huge impact on culture and what people believe.
Yeah. And you're not going to see any movies about the Jewish mob, only the Italian mob. That's interesting, right?
You
Italian
know what I
mob.
want to see? I want to see a series of Hollywood movies about all the events in Whitney Webb's book. Because, like,
You're
if yeah,
you're
we
never
need
going to
a
see it,
Hollywood
Jay.
series about that. Because and the
No.
5-star trust. But anyway, I don't want to get too far
Okay.
off topic. I know there's a specific story we want to get to, but I just had to throw that in there.
Absolutely. And we're getting to it right now. We do have some good news here in HOLLYWOKE / Ziowood. We're going to say this week in HOLLYWOKE. The tides are turning on Israel. This could be really, really good news. The Venice Film Festival is about to start out in Italy. There's a whole calendar of festivals. This is usually when it happens, right? End of August, beginning of September. You have everybody gathering in Italy for the Venice Festival. Well, what's different this year than previous years is the sentiment on the ground on Free Palestine. And I think some of the actors here in Hollywood anticipated that. And for whatever reason, they're able to align some, just a handful, this is just a few. They're able to align themselves on a film that's very important in calling out Israel and telling a real human story coming from Gaza. Here's the story. Brad Pitt and Joaquin Phoenix are backing this film, Hind Rajab film, as producers. So they put their name on as producers right before the Venice debut. So I think that Brad Pitt and Joaquin Phoenix did not make the film, but they found out about it. They watched it and they said, yeah, let's put our names on this before it officially debuts. So this is the film. It's an Oscar-nominated director. He creates this Gaza set. It's a feature, so this is scripted. This is not a documentary. This is a scripted film. And Brad Pitt and Joaquin Phoenix and Mara Rooney as well. Oh, I'm sorry, Rooney Mara have joined the directors. Glazer. So there's Jonathan Glazer and Alfonso Cuarón, and they've won a bunch of awards, and they're very established directors here in Hollywood. But they made this film. It's called The Voice of Hind Rajab, and this is the film. It dramatizes the final hours of a 6-year-old Palestinian girl who was killed by Israeli fire in January of 2024. So this is a response to what we've been living through the past couple years since October 7th. So as you guys can imagine, there's definitely going to be some pushback for having these people on. Now, Brad Pitt has a company called Plan B, and so he put his company on it and then put himself as co-producer. This is getting a lot of pushback. So Glazer won Best International Feature with Zone of Interest, set during the Holocaust. So look, these are Jewish actors and directors. Joaquin Phoenix is Jewish. I don't think Brad Pitt is, but there's a history of trying to represent human stories, and every once in a while we have people like these get together to do an honest critique of what's happening right now. So if you read further in the article, you see that Jonathan Glazer has been called an anti-Semite. Of course, the article won't tell you why. They're just going to tell you that's a name he's been called. Glazer receives support from more than 150 Jewish Hollywood figures. That's interesting because they're saying he's being called an anti-Semite, but also he has support from 150 Jewish Hollywood figures. And that includes Joaquin Phoenix, who wrote an open letter denouncing those who criticize him. And so Joaquin Phoenix says, attacks on Glazer are dangerous distractions from Israel's escalating military campaign, which has already killed over 32,000 Palestinians. Now, we know that number's higher, but good for Joaquin for saying this in a letter, open letter, Palestinians in Gaza, and brought hundreds of thousands to the brink of starvation. they wrote. And then so this is a picture, I think, of the actual girl. It could, I don't know. I have to look closer at the film itself, but it's set to premiere at the Venice Film Festival on September 3rd, using real audio recordings as a central narrative thread. And it was shot in a single location. Wow. I actually want to see this film, like really, really bad. And I think that premiere sounds awesome. I want to hear how it goes. September 3rd in Italy. Really, really awesome. So what a great group putting together. Now, before you chime in, Jay, I got to back this up with one more news out of Venice Film Festival at the same time that this movie is getting its debut in a few days. At the same time, guess what else came out of Venice? Look at this. Gal Gadot won't be at the festival after Gaza protests. Interesting. So Gal Gadot, who made a film with Gerard Butler, tried to shoot it out in London. She got protested the entire summer. We covered that on the show. They said, we don't want Gal Gadot here. She's an outright Zionist. She's a former IDF soldier. She killed people in Lebanon in 2006. She also trained other people how to kill people in other countries like Lebanon in 2006. She was handpicked by Hollywood, brought out here, given lead roles like Wonder Woman, even though she can't act. And 10 years later, she was given a star on Hollywood Boulevard after her shit-ass performance of the Queen in Snow White. And people are tired of it, tired of her sticking up for a genocidal maniac apartheid state, and they don't want her showing up to Venice along with her co-star, who also isn't welcome because Gerard Butler has also expressed support for the Nazi state of Israel. So that's happening. It's happening in Italy. It's not happening here in Hollywood, but it's a start. And we feel like this is a big, big deal that this is happening. We've not seen anything like this at any film festival at all since October 7th. Not at all. So this is a big, big deal. Jay, do you you want to chime in? What do you think of this? Is this something, nothing, or
I mean, like you said, it feels like the tides are changing right now. I feel like in the fall and in the winter, we're likely to see Israel attack Iran again at some point. I don't know if you saw the clip. I should have sent it to you when I saw it, but it slipped my mind. But there's a clip out there right now of Netanyahu. I think it came out like 2-3 days ago, who's saying that the ballistic missiles that Iran is building right now have the ability to hit Europe, and they're working on extending the range so it can hit America. So by going after Iran, he's really protecting us because, you know, Iran not only is going to get nuclear weapons, but they're going to build missiles and then launch it at America. So if Americans know what's good for us, we need to support him so he can defeat Iran for us. So that's like the line that we're hearing from them. Now, with public support slipping so much, with even now figures in Hollywood, like, because Brad Pitt could likely be prevented from getting major roles in Hollywood if he goes against the narrative in an unapproved way. So are we at a situation where it's going to be a last stand for Israel to try to do the damage it can against Iran before we see major power shifts in the area? We could wind up in a situation where Saudi Arabia or Turkey maybe come in as a protectorate for, you know, the entire area. So I'm not making any predictions. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is that when I look at how big they claim the Greater Israel Project is going to be, when I look at the number of Jews in existence, and when I look at the fact that they don't encourage proselytizing and bringing people into their religion, they want to be a closed religion, it just doesn't make sense to me that it's going to continue to go on the same path. And if the goal really is control over the resources over there, maybe there are other ways that they can do that. I think they want to balkanize Iran. The goal is to break up Iran so it's not one powerful entity. So I would watch the relationship between Iran and its neighbors to figure out what could be coming next. Let's see if tensions ratchet up between Iran and Saudi Arabia or Iran and Turkey, and how that actually winds up playing out. Because I do think it seems the goal of the establishment is to break up Iran, so it's not as powerful of a country with oil, the ability to shut down the Strait of Hormuz, and to block pipelines that they want to run through the area. So it's a big pain in the butt for them strategically. So this could be a sign that maybe they're actually going to start to turn away from it. And I don't know, maybe that's me being hopeful, but I just can't see how the Greater Israel Project can go forward without the world being destroyed, to be honest with you. Because like, yeah, like they have nukes, they have the Samson option, and you know, like if they go down, and they're going to use the Samson option if they go down. I personally don't think the elites are suicidal. I think they want to rule by fear, but I don't think they're suicidal. I could be wrong about that.
Suicidal, not for themselves, but for us. If you have your underground bunker ready to go.
Yeah, but they don't want to live underground, man. Like, I don't care how evil you are, how fancy your underground bunker may be. You're not going to want to be underground for the rest of your life, because if
you're not thinking in 4D, 5D terms, Jay. We're talking about transhumanism. We're talking about the immortality. It goes well beyond the human form we're in. This limited.
That's something I haven't considered. Maybe
we have to consider this stuff.
Yeah.
This is what was talking about. This is what these guys. This is what Peter. Remember Peter Thiel's assistant talking about how amazing it is that we can continue our human brain into another form. I mean, this is just for the ultra billionaire, super billionaire class. Yeah, that's not. I don't think that's considered suicidal. It's considered maniacal. It's considered like insane, like psychopath, sociopath. But it's not suicidal if you think that you're better than everyone. We're back to the whole better than everyone mindset. If you think that you have this special privilege to do something that most people won't even be able to think of or fathom, that we're talking about this. I mean, so that might change the way you behave in this simple life that we're in, because there's more to come, but only if you're hand selected, right?
If they can solve radiation poisoning, then yes, like I think that is possible, but I don't think they've been able to solve that yet. Right. So I truly believe they probably want to avoid an all-out nuclear war. But you know, I could be wrong. I can't see any other way. I just can't see how the Greater Israel Project is even possible. I think it's something that's being used to motivate a proxy to do our dirty work for us.
Well, look, we're back to because we are doing HOLLYWOKE, and I do think that one thing that we can look at right now is that whatever happens tomorrow, we have a paper trail of what happened up until right this moment. So the paper trail is important, right? This is because we talk about I just used the term immortality. That's so your legacy is hooked to the potential of immortality, because it's what's going to be passed down about you. What side were you on? And I think in Hollywood, Caitlin Johnstone talks about this a lot. To sign up for Hollywood, you have to sell your soul in a way. You have to be willing to not speak up, to lose your voice in exchange for having that status. So what happens in a moment like now? What happens when you have a Brad Pitt and a Joaquin Phoenix saying, well, I might have signed up for that at one time, but you know what? F it. I'm going in because I can see the writing on the wall. I can see that Gal Gadot is who I don't want to be right now. I want to be somebody who puts my stamp on something that will be the right side of history. And Brad Pitt might be punished. Joaquin might be punished. Guess what? Brad Pitt has his own company. He has a lot of money. He doesn't necessarily need somebody to greenlight him in his next film. A24 can do whatever he wants because he owns the company. So there's that. So I'm just thinking to a point of, are you at a place in your career? Jim Carrey, we covered him before. I went on Garland Nixon and said Jim Carrey, quote unquote, retired from acting, so he also can speak out for Palestine, which he is doing remarkably well at that. So we played a thing of Jim Carrey. You guys can go check that one out on our last show. Or I did, and I played it, or we spoke about it with Garland Nixon on his show. But right now, Brad Pitt and Joaquin Phoenix are doing this, and they're on the right side. And this is great effing news. Meanwhile, Gal Gadot, who won't be at the Venice Film Festival because of this. Adam Media, he'll tell us this. breaking, Israeli actress says, people are boycotting my movies just because I don't support Israel. Just because I support Israel. It's not fair. What's not fair?
Matt, listen,
Yeah.
don't you know freedom of speech means protection from freedom of the consequences of
Yeah.
what you say? That's what freedom of speech is, man.
Yeah. They're boycotting me because I support Israel. Well, guess what? It's also not fair, gal, that a terrorist like you could be allowed into movies at all. And to remind people, this is actually what works. This is why she's not attending the festival, because enough of this happened. For those who can't see what's happening, this is not a premiere. This is not this is not an event particularly that they're protesting that Gal Gadot happens to be at. This is a film shoot. Look at that. That's a film shoot. That costs money. That costs millions of dollars. That's what they're interrupting. That's what was going on all summer. This started in May. This one I think took place in May. This is in London. So everyone in Europe, wherever they tried to show up and have Gal show up, they interrupted the set. We covered it on our show. We have a lot of people we've shared this out to. Actually, our #1 video on our new YouTube channel is a Gal Gadot protest from this summer. So just letting you guys know, this is why she won't be at the Venice Film Festival. And this is why we consider this a pretty big win. This is a pretty big deal. She won't be there. Guess who will? Brad Pitt and Joaquin Phoenix, and a film about people getting murdered, the human story going on in Gaza right now. That's what the film is about. It's premiering on the 3rd of September. We're very excited this is happening, and we're going to report on it for you guys after the fact. So
yeah, I'm going to watch the movie for sure. And I don't want my comments to be taken in a way where I'm not giving Brad Pitt and Joaquin Phoenix credit for doing the right thing. I definitely think I'm happy about them making that decision. But my question, what I would just urge viewers to do is watch their reception, and let's see if they're actually attacked by media and by other people for their support for this movie. Because if they're not getting attacked, and if they're not getting any pushback in any way, to me it seems like a sign that the establishment is getting ready to pivot. It's just not going to happen overnight. It's going to be something that's stretched out over a period of time. But sorry, that's a great point you made about Brad Pitt owning his own, movie production company. So, let's hope that he's doing it, for all the right reasons. And, let's hope that he's taking a stand. And, I'd love to see, Hollywood actors actually be honest, about what's happening over there. So let's give him credit for doing the right thing, no matter the reason. But let's also keep a skeptical eye on, is the establishment going to try to pivot to the next thing to accomplish their goals after Zionism? Because it feels like Zionism could be on the way down. And all we've spoken about is the reputational aspect at this point, but the economy of Israel took some major blows during their exchange with Iran. And if things start up again, they're going to take a lot of serious blows too. So they have huge economic problems that, are coming at the worst possible time, considering their PR, not just in America, but it's even worse all over the world. So, let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. And that's this week in HOLLYWOKE. Okay, let me take a moment to introduce you to our good friends over at World Harvest Food Bank right here in LA. World Harvest has been serving families across Los Angeles for 18 years now, and they started with this simple idea. Everyone deserves access to healthy, affordable food, no matter what they're going through. With their Cart with a Heart program, families can walk away with a full cart of groceries, fresh produce, dairy, meat, and pantry supplies for just a $50 contribution. That's for the entire cart. That same cart will cost over $300 at a typical grocery store. At World Harvest, everyone is welcome. They don't ask for income verification, ID, or any paperwork. No. Basically, their doors are open to anyone who's doing their best, but just needs a little extra push to get by. If you're an Angelino like me, the times have been tough here. First with all the union strikes, the LA fires, and now the ICE raids going on. It seems like we're living in a constant state of uncertainty. And that's why it's so important to support local charities like World Harvest, because they aren't just helping the community, they're an essential function in its very survival. World Harvest is located at Venice and Arlington. And right now, you can use our special discount code THL20 for 20% off your contribution amount at checkout. And if you're not in the LA area, you can still help out with a $50 donation, which will provide a full cart of food for a family by going to worldharvestfoodbank.org or scan the QR code for more info. Or you can just spread the word. Follow them online. Let people know they're here for them, because at the end of the day, it's about providing choice, access, and relief without barriers. World Harvest Food Bank. End hunger now.